Hey guys, Anna here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another speed build. Today we're in the world of Willow Creek and we are building a 3x2 bedroom family home. So as promised, I did build two base game family homes along with the 7 renovations and a third build which you will see later this week. And that is another home that is in Oasis Springs, and that is a more modern build. I did mention that I would be building a couple of base game family homes. I could have done another further 3 renovations, but I've decided to do these builds instead. I really enjoyed this build. I built this build before I did the 2x1 that you saw last week, which was also base game. And it was also actually built on the same lot. So this is that plotter spray lot in Willow Creek. This is my favorite lot just purely because of lighting and the size. This is how I've utilized that lot for a larger build. The concept of this build came together fairly simple. It was more the front of this build. I loved this kind of stacked L shape porch, and then from there the inside is the floor plan is completely closed. This is very much a closed floor plan house. The exterior ends up being just a standard brick and sliding, very typical build that would fit in this type of area. Definitely wanted something that would fit in with the street. This build is available on the Sims 4 gallery. Gallery ID is Antoinette44. It is in the description below if need. And this build, speaking of the gallery, I'm really proud of. This is one of those builds where I had over, I think it was 150 plus fellow simmers actually download this build. And I don't normally mention metrics from the gallery, but that one surprised me quite a bit, as it was quite significant. And I just really want to say thank you to anyone who potentially has downloaded that. If you are watching this speed build, I really do appreciate the support and I really hope you enjoyed the build. All right, so that is the majority of the exterior that we've just worked on. We're just more moving inside to work on the floor plan. So as I mentioned, the floor plan is quite closed. So you walk in, you have a little entryway, and then you have a series of archways. One archway leads into the living room, and that is the main way to enter the living room. And then you'd enter back through the hallway into another hallway, which then enters into the kitchen, bathroom, and then the back of the property, and then obviously to the back door and to the backyard. So that is the whole downstairs layout. I really enjoy it. I think it's quite genius how I've done it. And I like that you can only enter certain rooms in certain ways, because it does imply that it's a little bit more of a closed floor plan, which is what I'm trying to do. I guess I always do something that's open, semi-open, and I wanted to kind of build something that was a little bit more closed. I grew up in a really closed floor plan home, so it's really realistic for me. So yeah, the upstairs, so as I mentioned, this is a 3x2, yes. So we have a bathroom and 3 bedrooms upstairs. So in this particular build, you have a master bedroom, a teens room, and a child's room. The teens room and the child's room really are very gender neutral bedrooms. They really could, house either gender. It's just really a room, I guess. I think the color scheme, I think, for both is blue from memory. But yeah, very simplistic rooms, and then just with a bathroom. The one thing, and I'll mention it when we go to the upstairs. Let's talk about this floor plan. So we are mapping it out here. This is what I mean by you have an entryway, and that entryway you have archways that lead off the entryway into a central hallway. We do end up putting that wall back to separate the entry to the living room, but the only way to enter in the living room is actually through that entryway, which is quite nice. You'll get what I mean when you see it later. All right, this is the upstairs. So you walk upstairs, you have a landing space. You have a teen's bedroom that faces the back of the property, the master bedroom that faces the front, and then you have this small bathroom that kind of wedges between the master bedroom and a kid's room. So the thing I was going to mention was upstairs is what's really cool about this particular property is there are 2 balconies, and both the larger rooms have access to those balconies. So the teen bedroom has its own balcony and the master bedroom has its own balcony. And I really like how that has turned out. I don't put a ton of furniture on these balconies, but it's a really, expansive home. Like you could put anything on those balconies. If you had other packs, you could really make it, more purposable for that sim. All right, so we are now just going through and we're just kind of figuring out how I want to do this. So as I mentioned, I drew back in that wall. I'll then be putting in an archway on that side, and that's how you enter into the living room. You then have this main hallway that leads into a back section, which is kind of, I guess this would be where the mud room would be in a home. The room that is underneath the stairs in that kind of area is the bathroom. That's the downstairs bathroom. It is fairly large. And then you have at the front of the build, right at the front through that main archway, is the kitchen and dining. So it's a very simplistic layout, but it works really well. And I still feel that it flows even though it's a closed floor plan. And I don't think it would be too bad for routing. I know sometimes in the Sims, having a less realistic floor plan works better because Sims like to actually play the game in the build, which I have to, say that I do normally consider my builds as being gameplay focused. And I guess I do that in the way of the number of items I use. I don't build overly excessive cluttered homes. I also build very spacious rooms and stuff to factor in all of those things as well. Alrighty. We are outside. I have just mapped out where the backyard is. I'm going in with this terrain paint. I've mentioned this a couple of times this month. This particular terrain paint I've been loving and using a ton. It's actually a stone or a path tile that we actually have in the game, but they've gone and made it into a terrain paint, and I'm so happy about that because it means I can use it and really essentially fill large areas with this particular stone decor path thing, and it's affordable, so it's really good. As mentioned, this is entirely base game only. I think this would have been a lovely build to be able to put a little bit more family gameplay in. I love using like the tree house or all the playground stuff that came with Adventure Awaits and things like that. Like all of that kind of kids stuff could really go well in this type of build, but that's okay. Speaking of the newer pack, you will see all of my content for that in next month. For November, I've got a lot planned for that. I just had the month of October already completed and planned, so I wasn't able to upload anything at the time of access. Plus, October has been a very busy month for me. I've had a lot on, so I will be getting some newer content on here. But for now, it's just these couple of builds just to round us out for the month. All right, we have gone in with some base game. Sorry, not base. Well, it is base game. Debug landscaping. What I really love about the exterior, and I'll mention it here, is I love those windows colors. That kind of sage green. It is really complementary to the red brick. So even though it's a red brick and sliding, there's something about that green in the windows that really makes the building pop. We've also used a flooring that came in a fairly recent base game update, and just very simple landscaping. We do use a pop of yellow, Lots of daisies, white and greenery. And yeah, just kept it very simple. Love these bushes. I've used, of course, those shrubs that I've been using. And yeah, very simple landscaping, but I like it. So this is just a very open backyard. To be honest, I could have done a way better job with the backyard, but I think the front of the build is so nice that it's not too bad. And as I said, this is quite a big lot. Being a 2-bedroom build does a 2-bedroom. Being a 2-story build does help it in terms of using less space, using less of the lot. You can definitely fit more in. But yeah, so we've gone in with a seating area, a grill, you've got the pool, you've got a chess table on the porch. Yeah, just finalizing all of the exterior parts. I think I just put in a bench on the front porch. Yeah, with it being an L shape, it was a quite a narrow L shape, so there wasn't a ton of room. All right, we are back inside, and one thing I didn't mention is this deep kind of burgundy maroon type wallpaper. I don't usually use this type of color, but I like it. I think it complements the furniture choices that I've been using. I use this particular couch set, and I actually go in with, I believe, some red pillows, and it really looks nice. You would think from the exterior that the color scheme might have been a little bit more brighter, but I like the fact that it's a little bit more moody. And this particular rug really complements the wallpaper to me, and it is that kind of, I don't know, it's like a purpley red. And that's why I ended up deciding to go with some red cushions against the green, which makes it really pop. And I think that this is just such a very quaint and simplistic living room, and I'm really happy with it. Shelvings. I forget to use the floating shelves. I don't know why, but I always forget. I used to use them a ton in my building, but I've been using them a lot more recently, and I've been really enjoying that. Just going in with some curtains. These are the ones that got all of the extra swatches in an update. And I just realized that I didn't have enough lights around the build. So the build, it did make it look a lot more darker, not only by the wallpaper, but also just needed more lights. We put in a desk and a computer towards the back of the house, and then just a lamp. And as you can see, the house looks a little bit more brighter with all the lights. All right, in this hallway, we honestly just put a cabinet and a buffet table. It's just something to fill the space because it was quite a lengthy hallway, I guess. So we've gone in with some plants, just some decorative items. And through that door there is the downstairs bathroom, which we are going to be decorating. It's a fairly decent sized bathroom. I've gone in with the same cabinets from the kitchen. I believe we use just a shower, I believe. Yeah. I've used that same kind of color scheme from the living room here in the bathroom. So the towels are that kind of burgundy color. That the plant has that same kind of color scheme. We've actually got a tub and a shower in here, which is quite nice, paired with like a beige kind of tiling. I think it works well. All right, we are back in the kitchen, and it looks like we're finalizing the kitchen. This is just a standard L-shaped kitchen. Yep, I remembered to get a range hood. I put like alarms and stuff in this build? That'll be interesting. Yeah, so we've got, it's very kind of crammed in here. And I guess that's the same thing about the living room, is one could say it is a little bit on the crammed side. But how often do your Sims eat at a table? I know that mine don't really. Yep, so we did include a burglar alarm, which is really good. I still think that it looks well furnished. I don't think that it's too, tightly packed. But you'll have to let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on the interior decorating. Would you have done it differently? Do you like the color scheme? And yeah. All right, we are upstairs into what is the upstairs landing. We put in another desk here. We don't put in a computer on this particular desk. It is just a standard desk because I like to have areas for, kids to do their homework and whatnot. I do just put in a bookcase, and that's just the upstairs landing. We use the same rug as downstairs. All right, we are starting off with the master bedroom because of where the balcony is and how I want to give entrance from that balcony. The master bed does have to face this way. I don't normally have beds facing this way, but I think it's okay. We've just gone in with a basic color scheme here. We use a lot of blue in the bedrooms. I don't know, it wasn't really on purpose, but I like it nonetheless. So initially I had the front door facing where the bathroom is, which would have mean the door would have been front facing. But I think that from the front of the build, it didn't look as nice to have your main front door and then another door directly on the second story. It just visually didn't look as nice. So that's why I've decided to put it off from the side. All right, we are in the child's room. This looks a little bit more girly, but it definitely uses more of a blue-ish color scheme. We've gone in with an activity table, gone in with a unicorn, and as I said in the past, I've really loved the new rug that we got with around the time of the Basegame infants Basegame update. All right, our final room is a teens room. I have decided to put the bed up against the wall. Don't worry, the Sims will scoot to have access to both sides. Again, it's all about that balcony and where the door has to be. So ideally, I wouldn't put a bed there, but I kind of needed to because there wasn't really anything else. We've gone in with blue again in this space. We've got a desk, a computer. I decided to position the desk the way that I have it, and instead of using a side table, just because I really thought it was important to include a desk, and I felt that it was positioned the best in that way. Okay, on their balcony, I do just put some benches. Realistically, if I was making this build with the intention of a storyline, I could have, put something that was a little bit different out there. But also that bedroom could be for an adult sim. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be for a teen sim. Alrighty. We are live in game and we are going through the tour. So you're entering in through the entryway into that living room. I love the color scheme here. Enter back through the entryway into the main hallway, which leads you to, you've got that bathroom. You've also got the back of the property there where that computer is, and then obviously that would lead you to the backyard and whatnot. But we're going to head to the kitchen and dining first, which is at the front of the property. We're then going upstairs. You have that landing space into the teens room, yep, and their balcony. We then are going into the child's room, and then to the bathroom, the upstairs bathroom, which is quite nice. And then finally the master bedroom and their balcony. So I've also got like an easel there, ton of skill building. We then head outside where again you have some gardening, seating area, a pool, chess table, all the fun stuff. And that is the build today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you stay till the end, I do appreciate it. Please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.